What's up, guys? This is Ian here, coach of your Ladner Lanturn, bringing you guys our team builder for the Elimination Bracket Round 2 of the DnD, or Dunsparces and Dragonites Season 6 Championship League. Um, as you know, assuming you've watched our last battle, I was pretty salty about that. I'm still a little bit salty, but not as much anymore. Um, we got knocked out of the semifinals by Shiny Krabby, so congrats to him. He actually guaranteed himself promotion because the champion and the runner-up were guaranteed promotion into the Premiership, which is kind of why I was pretty salty about that game because it meant so much. However, we still do have one more chance. The winner of the elimination bracket also gets promoted into the Premiership, and that is our goal now. Now that we're not eligible for the champion or the runner-up positions, this is our last shot to get into the Premiership. I do want to sort of talk about that a little bit. I'm not super fussed if I lose out in the elimination bracket. It's been a really good season. I think that I had the second best team in the league. I think I'm the second best coach in the league, and I kind of want to prove that. Unfortunately, I can't because I ended up losing to the first best coach in the semifinals, but we'll be able to sort of have a new matchup here. We're playing the Atlanta Staraptors and my buddy Austin, or Monster, and we didn't get a chance to play him in the regular season, actually. He was in the Hoenn Conference, and he was not one of our two inter-conference matches. I'm looking forward to this match. The last match we played against each other, and our first match we played against each other, was in the NCL, where I beat him 5-0. He's not really trying super hard in that league, and it felt almost like a free win. Based on just how he was playing. Not entirely, but it did feel like he wasn't playing like himself. So I know he wants a promotion just as much as I do, so he's going to be trying his hardest. If we do end up winning this match, there is one more round of the elimination bracket. This is round 2, and there's 3 rounds of the elimination bracket. So we would play whoever wins on the other side of the bracket, which at this very moment, is Jed versus Arnaud in the first round, and then the winner of that will play the loser of Magic versus Dat Dude. So we could end up playing Jed or Arnaud yet again for a third time in the finals of the elimination bracket, potentially. So keeping all of that in mind, let's run over Austin's team. So he's got Blacephalon, Mega Absol, Mienshao, Slurpuff, Rampardos, Komala, Tangra, Metagross, Empoleon, Exploud, and Rotom Wash. He has priority in Mega Absol with Sucker Punch, Mienshao with Fake Out, Metagross with Bullet Punch. He has Hazard Setting in Slurpuff with Sticky Webs, Rampardos with Stealth Rock, Empoleon with Stealth Rock, and Metagross with Stealth Rock. He has removal options in Komala with Rapid Spin, Empoleon with Defog, Rotom Wash with Defog, and potentially Mega Absol Magic Bouncing stuff back. And he has no 4x weaknesses to exploit. I think Blacephalon is coming. It makes sense. It does well against my team. I do think he would have to bring a Scarf set to make it work. It doesn't really do... It doesn't outspeed a lot of my team if he doesn't. Mega Absol, I think, could come. I think it's likely that it comes. It kind of stops the Chandelure somewhat. Stops me from basically just spamming Ghost against him if he doesn't bring Komala. It's a nice mixed attacker to be able to take on Ferrothorn and Zyger 10 as well. It's a good speed tier to be able to speed tie things like Floatzel and Zyger 10. Mienshao, I don't know if it comes. I don't think it does. It could. Medicham resists its hits, Zapdos resists, Scully resists. It really can only knock off the Chandelure. Togekiss 4 times resists its hits. Physically defensive alone, Mola takes it on really well. Ferrothorn, I mean, it can beat Ferrothorn to an extent, but at the same time, Ferrothorn hits it back really hard. So I'm not sold on Mienshao. It's kind of an iffy one. I think Slurpuff is coming. I think Rampardos is an iffy one as well. I think he might bring Rampardos just because of how rock weak my team is in general. Komala I don't think is coming. I think Mega Medicham is a big enough threat to Komala that it just doesn't come at all. The fact that I have Mega Medicham and Primeape dual fighting that both outspeed it guaranteed and can deal with it really well. Tangrowth is an interesting one. Tangrowth is something that normally you'd expect, and I don't think that he's going to bring it against me. Like, I think he might have to stop Zyger 10%, otherwise it just rolls through his team. But I don't know if he'll bring it, only because Zapdos beats it, Scolipede beats it, Chandelure beats it, Swellow beats it, Togekiss beats it, and Ferrothorn beats it. So it's like, does he really want to bring it when more than half my team beats it 1v1? Maybe. Metagross I could see coming. I think it makes sense that Metagross would come. Chandelure's a really good check to it. Especially if Komala doesn't come, I can literally just click Shadow Ball over and over again. Absol is not the greatest. Sorry, I forgot he's got X-Cloud as well. He's got dual normal. But I can click Fire Blast very consistently against his team actually, because Blacephalon is not a very good switch into any kind of attack defensively. And Polion, I don't know if it comes. Zapdos beats it, Chandelure beats it, Zygarde destroys it, Medicham destroys it, so we'll see. X-Cloud, he might bring. If he's bringing X-Cloud, I can expect to see webs, I think. It does do a lot of damage to my team with the Specs Boomburst set. It does a lot of damage to my team. However, it's slower than the majority of my Pokemon. The only things that it is naturally faster than on my team are Alomomola and Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn I cannot OHKO with the right set, and Alomomola it could probably OHKO if I was running a physically defensive Alomomola. Rotom-Wash I think is coming. I think it's kind of the glue Pokemon for him. Rotom-Wash and Tangrowth have kind of just been glue that hold his team together, and I think Rotom-Wash will come. In terms of my team, we'll run through my 6 and then I'll sort of touch on why I'm not bringing the other ones. So first up is Ferrothorn. We're bringing in Akaberry Ferrothorn. It might not look great against his team with things like Blacephalon. Rampardos typically runs Fire Blast some of the times. X-Cloud usually runs Fire Coverage. Mienshao is a fighting type. Mega Absol usually runs Fire Blast. Metagross can run Fire Punch. Slurpuff, if it's special, runs Flamethrower. So he's got a lot of stuff with Fire Coverage that can abuse my 4x weakness on Ferrothorn. However, Ferrothorn's job is kind of just to get up rocks this game. I'm not entirely sold on how I'm going to deal with Mega Absol with this set. Especially, well, okay, so if he doesn't lead Mega Absol, then I have a strategy. This is our physically defensive wall. It's a switch into Mega Absol as well. I don't give a crap about the Fire Blast. We can't really hit it back very well, but the knockoff is here because I think that Blacephalon would switch in on this and try and kill me and get a boost. And knockoff does between 70 to 90% of Blacephalon's health if he's not a Z-Crystal, if he's a Scarf or an item that's not a Z-Crystal. Which is basically a 2-hit KO. And if he tries to set up like a Calm Mind or something, then he's just dead. Or I can Thunder Wave it and then Revenge Kill it with something else. Ferrothorn's job is getting up rocks realistically, and once it does that, its job is done. Unless it needs to get up rocks again later, and rocks will come into play later when I talk about sort of my setup sweepers here. Next up is Togekiss or Flinched. We're bringing the leftovers, specially defensive Togekiss with Heal Bell, Roost, Air Slash, and Defog. I am bringing a few physical attackers, and Rotom typically carries Will-O-Wisp. Blacephalon can also carry Will-O-Wisp. Empoleon carries Scald. You know, fire moves have a chance to burn, so I'm bringing the Heal Bell because I want to get rid of those burns. They could be very detrimental to my team, and I just want to be able to get rid of them. Roost is there for some recovery because I would imagine I'm going to switch into some attacks. Air Slash is just a good mono attack to bring against his team. He's got a few flying resists in Metagross, Rampardos, Empoleon, and Rotom. He's got 4 flying resists actually. But this can deal with a Tangrowth. I can switch in on the Tangrowth and then threaten it out. I've also got Defog here to get rid of, excuse me, rocks in particular. My team is very rocks weak, as well as webs from his side of the field. That's kind of the big thing for Togekiss, is getting rid of rocks is like huge. Running a fully specially defensive set with some special attack investment, but not a whole lot because I don't really need the actual special attack. This actually outspeeds quite a few of the members of his team naturally. We'll outspeed Slurpuff naturally, we'll outspeed Rampardos, Komala, Tangrowth, Metagross, Empoleon, and X-Cloud all naturally. And I resist Mienshao's hits very well. A Poison Jab might do a bit, but we're max HP from Mienshao. Mega Absol kind of has to click Ice Beam to do any damage to us. And we tank Blacephalon's hits relatively well with this spread as well. Next up, Zygarde 10. We're bringing a Scarf Zygarde 10. With 1,000 Arrows, Extreme Speed, Toxic, and Superpower, Physically Defensive Tangrowth, this is only switch into this, which is why I have Toxic. If he doesn't bring Physically Defensive Tangrowth, then I can just click 1,000 Arrows, and his team dies, essentially. Blacephalon gets destroyed, Metagross gets destroyed, Rampardos gets destroyed, Empoleon gets destroyed, Rotom Wash, once it's knocked down, also gets destroyed. We have super effective damage against all of those. We 2-hit KO the Mienshao and we're faster than it. We demolish a Komala, we 2-hit KO the Exploud and we're faster than it. We 2-KO the Slurpuff and we're faster than it as well. Extreme Speed is there if I need to pick off the Slurpuff. Excuse me. Pick off the Slurpuff after it's belly drummed or has an Unburden boost. Toxic, like I said, that's for the Tangrowth mostly. Superpower is there for the Komala because I can deal with it a little bit better. Also, the Mega Absol dies. Excuse me, dies with Superpower. That's pretty much what the Superpower is there for. This is our Scarf Blacephalon offensive check. Like, if he's in on Scarf Blacephalon and we can somehow pivot into Zygarde 10 for free, then Blacephalon's going to die. Even if he gets a special attack beast boost, we outspeed and kill it. So that's kind of the goal with that. Obviously, Extreme Speed doesn't work on a Ghost type, but the goal is to offensively revenge kill Blacephalon in a safe manner with Zygarde. We have enough speed on here to outrun the Blacephalon. So if he's some sort of Flame Charge set, we'll still outspeed him at +1 with max attack and a lot of HP investment. Next up, Swellow. Bring a Silk Scarf Swellow, and I'll give the shoutouts now, I guess. I want to shout out Jay, Magic, Nacho, and Jed for helping me build. I needed a lot of help with this one. I was feeling pretty down today after losing, I think, 3 league matches in a row today. And this is an important match because it's my road to promotion. So we'll see how it goes. I needed a lot of help, and they offered a lot of help. This team went through probably 5 or 6 iterations before I got the one that I finally decided on. And Swellow was not on the original plan. I initially had Mega Medicham on here, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. But we're bringing a Silk Scarf Scrappy set to be able to hit his Ghost in Blacephalon. The only way that he can dodge a Boom Burst is with Bright Powder, which is banned, or Soundproof Exploud. I don't imagine he would want to bring Soundproof Exploud, even though it sounds like a legitimate strategy to stop Swellow, because I don't have a Soundproof mod on my team, but he does still have to hit Chandelure with something, and so I would imagine if he's bringing Exploud that it has to be Scrappy just to hit my Ghost. Otherwise, he could bring Soundproof, because I don't really have, you know, like he could just block my own Swellow's Boom Burst, but Silk Scarf boosted Boom Burst is a monster against this team. It's going to absolutely shred a lot of the Pokemon on here. Even the resists aren't really resists. And we're not locked in either. Got the Tailwind on there. I initially had Defog. Magic was like, why do you need double Defog? And I was like, that's a good point. So we've got the Tailwind on here in case we end up in a situation where we can't outspeed something like the Blacephalon. It's +2 or something like that. And he clicks Shadow Ball. He misclicks Shadow Ball. I don't know. Then we get a Tailwind off, and it's good. Got the Heat Wave on there to deal with the Metagross. Deals with the Tangrowth. Kind of. It's mostly for the Metagross. It's also there for the Empoleon. It's going to be better neutral damage than what Boom Burst can put out, I believe. That's pretty much it. Just those two. U-turn for some momentum. With a lot of speed on here, enough to outspeed the Mega Absol, which is his fastest Pokemon. So my fastest outspeeds his fastest, which is really good. That means bar a new Scarfer, Swellow will be the fastest thing on the entire game. Max special attack with a lot of HP, just leftover bulk. And the naive nature, because Swellow is frail as fuck on the special side anyways, and I don't care about Swellow taking a special hit, because it's going to die from a special hit. It's going to die from a special hit, so I'd rather have more defense investment than special defense investment. That's just kind of what Swellow is there for. Now, he doesn't have a ground type, and if you've been looking for a while, you're like, wow, he's got no ground type. Yeah, that's a good point. His electric immunities don't exist. He has one electric sponge in Tangrowth, and that's it. So Zapdos goes ham. Initially I had a Spec Zapdos set, and Jay convinced me that this set was going to be better. We're bringing a Life Orb static set with Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, Heat Wave, and Roost. Max Special Attack Modest with Max Speed lets us outrun Rotom Wash. We will guaranteed outrun Rotom Wash by 1 point, Max Speed Rotom Wash by 1 point with the Zapdos set, and we're hitting ridiculously hard with Max Special Attack. Zapdos has really good natural bulk anyways, so I don't need to make it like a super tank. It's just there. We've got 3 attacks with Roost with the Life Orb. I love Recovery with the Life Orb. I think it's super good. Volt Switch for good momentum. My plan is to lead off with Zapdos and just Volt Switch turn 1. Do a huge chunk of damage to whatever and sort of just Volt Switch around. Thunderbolt is really good stab and it does more damage than Discharge. Otherwise I'd be running Discharge because I like spreading Paralysis around. Heat Wave is there for the Tangrowth and for the Metagross. Thunderbolt also does a lot of damage to the Metagross, but Heat Wave can do more. Basically, I'm clicking Thunderbolt on almost anything, and the things that resist Thunderbolt, I'm clicking Heat Wave on, which is Tangrowth. This is one of the reasons I don't think Tangrowth is coming, and if it doesn't come, it opens up a huge, oh my god, it opens up a huge hole for me. If Tangrowth really doesn't come, then Zygarde goes to town, and Zapdos goes to town basically for free. That would be really huge. And if he does bring Tangrowth, then he's not bringing one of the threats that I'm actually scared of. So Tangrowth is a lose-lose situation for him this week, and I'm going to try and capitalize on that for the most part, which is basically what I'm thinking. Initially I had Air Cutter on here. You can't run Air Cutter with Static, and turns out that Heat Wave is like slightly stronger than Air Cutter. I don't know. It's not that big a deal. Like, Air Cutter was fine. I felt that Air Cutter was fine. It has a higher crit chance, and it has the same chance to miss as Heat Wave, so I was like, well, I like the crit chance, but then you can't run Air Cutter with Static. It's only available with Pressure, so all of that aside, this is the Zapdos set. I think it'll do a lot of work. It's a really good breaker for our last Pokemon, which is a Sweeper. We have 3 breakers here in line for our Sweeper to clean up late game. We're bringing a Swords Dance Scolipede with Poison Jab, Earthquake, and Mega Horn, and the Beginium Z Crystal. Beginium Z Mega Horn plows through pretty much everything. It's going to do the most damage. It can kill something like a Rotom Wash at +2. We're running 216 speed, which lets us outrun the Blacephalon normally, so after 1 speed boost we will outspeed a Scarf Blacephalon or a Blacephalon at +1. Obviously we're not going to live a hit from that thing, so I'd rather set up on something else. I actually hope the Tangrowth does come, just because it's free setup fodder for me. HP Fire is the best thing that he can hit me with, because I have a Z Crystal on. Knockoff is not doing anything. Earthquake is also not doing anything because it's a neutral hit. Scolipede has decent natural defenses, but worse natural special defenses. So HP Fire is the worst he could hit me with. I would imagine he brings HP Fire for the Ferrothorn anyways. It kind of makes sense to me that he would do that. And yeah, Tangrowth is setup fodder. What I have to be careful of is Mega Absol Sucker Punch with this set. I can kind of play around it with another Swords Dance, but there's only so many times you can play around it, you know? So, excuse me. Sorry about that. Still sick. Yeah, we're going to make the Scolipede set work. It's going to work. Trust me, it's going to work. I have to say this to myself because my plans never work, and I really want this one to work so that I can make the premiership. Scolipede's the sweeper, man. Scolipede's going to clean up. At +2, Scolipede basically OHKOs everything on his entire team. Beginium Z is there for the Rotom Wash. Everything else just dies at +2 to an Earthquake or a Poison Jab. So that's the plan with the Scolipede. I'm really hoping that it works out. It hasn't worked out, man. I can't pull off my plans in this league to save my goddamn life. I don't know what it is. I'm not setting up the situations properly or what, but it just hasn't been working. Yeah, so let's talk about the Pokemon I didn't bring. Now, Mega Medicham I had on this team for a long time. We ended up replacing it with Swallow. Now, that's because he has a big fighting weakness on his team. His team is very weak to fighting. His fighting resists are Slurpuff and an immunity in Blacephalon. Most fighting Pokemon get poison coverage or steel coverage, and dark coverage. So basically, Mega Medicham could have tore through his team, except it doesn't get dark coverage. Mega Medicham cannot touch the Blacephalon, unfortunately. The thing is a monster, but it literally can't touch Blacephalon. I was toying around with a dual priority set with Fake Out Bullet Punch, Drain Punch, and Toxic, but I don't want to Toxic the Blacephalon, man. I want to T-Wave it or something. Like, I couldn't run High Jump Kick because Blacephalon existed. Drain Punch demolished a lot of his team. Toxic was there for a Fizz Def Tangrowth. Fake Out was there because, I don't know, Fake Out, like picking off the Absol or something while he was trying to Sucker Punch or something like that. To be fair, I could run an Adamant Mega Medicham, which is huge. The fact that it gets Pure Power Plus has the ability to run Adamant this game because it can outrun Rotom Wash, Max Speed Rotom Wash, could have been really big. I don't need Psychic Stab against this team. The only thing that I would need Psychic Stab for is the Blacephalon, to be able to actually hit it. And so I decided that it wasn't really worth it, despite the fact that I see this huge glaring fighting weakness showing in my face. Komala, Mega Absol, Rampardos, Empoleon, Exploud. That's 5 fighting weak Pokemon. Rotom Wash takes it neutrally. Metagross takes it neutrally. Mienshao takes it neutrally. Tangrowth takes it neutrally. Like, Mega Medicham could have been so good, but it just wasn't good enough. Chandelure, I thought about. He's got 2 water answers that outspeed it. He could easily run like a Scarf Rotom. Blacephalon kind of just beats it with a Shadow Ball straight up anyways, so Chandelure didn't really make a ton of sense. Floatzel, I played around with the idea quite a bit of a Scarf specially offensive Floatzel, running like a Surf and Ice Beam sort of set. Ice Beam to cover the Tangrowth, Surf basically covered everything else, and I kind of just I wasn't able to hit the Rotom Wash or the Empoleon very well. Otherwise, it kind of just dealt with his team. It dealt with his team relatively well, but I couldn't deal with his bulky waters. Alomomola seems very lackluster to me. His team is more based around Blacephalon sweeping than anything else. He doesn't really have good support for his physical attackers. So Alomomola, like it was in my head, and I just didn't go with it. Primeape, again, playing on his fighting weakness, I think is really strong. Primeape can actually hit the Blacephalon, I believe, with knockoff, because I think it gets knocked. I'm pretty sure it gets knockoff. At the very least, it gets Earthquake, which could hit the Blacephalon. It's outsped by a Scarf Blacephalon, so if he wants to bring a Scarf Blacephalon, then the Scarf Primeape could have been okay, but we're not taking a hit from that thing, and we might be able to kill it back. So that's the team. Hopefully this all goes well, and I will catch you guys for the match.